If you're the planner type of person who loves to write down ideas, schedules, or to-do lists and organize them all in one neat place, then this video is for you. Hi, I'm Ginger. In this video, I'll give you 11 ideas on how to set up a bullet journal. Let's admit it, life can get hectic or even chaotic. Days pass quickly, schedules get tangled up, we're constantly running around, and the countdown to our deadlines makes us panic. In this video, we'll talk about bullet journaling, which is not just a trend, but has become a way of life for a lot of people. There are tons of pre-made journals you can buy, but I personally love the Dotmatrix ones made by Pauper Press. The acid-free heavy-gauge paper is perfect for pens. The writing doesn't ghost on the back, which is a common problem in most journals. Dotmatrix Paper is perfect if you want to have the flexibility to create your own designs or rows and columns in a manner that fits your planning needs. So now let's dive into bullet journal idea number 1, mission statement. It's nice to open the journal with a personal mission statement, which can be a short sentence to express your core values or beliefs. Is your guiding principle. Much like a lighthouse, it guides you in your way so you can stay on course. Now, what are examples of mission statements? You can say something like, my mission is to encourage people by speaking positive words every day, or your mission can be to live honestly even when people aren't watching. Or you can even write your corporate philosophy and say something like, I want to live a life of excellence by striving to give my best in every work. Whatever mission it is, write it down in your bullet journal so you can make yourself accountable, because there's written proof you can read every day, so you have to live by it. Now, bullet journal idea number 2, dreams. Now, I dedicated the next spread in my journal to dreams. These are the long-term dreams which may or may not be attainable. For instance, one of my dreams is to travel to Europe. I don't know when I can make that happen, but I'm putting it down there so I can be inspired to save for that dream trip or cruise. Now, another long-term dream is to find an agent and to get my manuscripts published, to land a book deal, write books that win awards, and hopefully hit the bestsellers list. Publishing is a tough industry to penetrate, and rejections are normal even for seasoned authors. So I wanted to write this in my dream page so I wouldn't be discouraged when I get the next rejection letter. Now, putting that career dream down on print can help me focus on the bigger picture. Now, after dreams, let's talk about goals, which is idea number 3. You might wonder why I made a distinction between dreams and goals. Now, unless you want to make your dreams a reality by really working hard for it, like sweating it out and making an investment for your future. Now, unless you're willing to take those necessary steps, a dream is just wishful thinking. But if you want a dream to become a goal, you need to back it up with quantifiable action steps and set a deadline for yourself. Like, I read a poster before that said the only difference between a goal and a dream is a deadline. Like, dreams may or may not happen, goals should happen. Now, goals are more short-term and there's a starting date and a finishing date. You can also have specific goals for the year, but the following year there can be a new set of goals. Dreams, on the other hand, they can be the same year after year for the next 5 years or for your entire lifetime. You can still have the same dreams. Okay, now let's talk about reading lists. That's the 4th thing you can put in a planner. Now, I included a reading list because as a writer, reading is part of my job description. But if you're not much of a book lover, you may opt out of this page. For this layout, I wanted to keep track of books I have read. Either they're recommended reading because of my line of work, or they're must-have books that I just want to enjoy at a leisurely pace during my downtime. Now, if you want to include something like this in your bullet journal, you may consider organizing your lists of books by genres, whether they're fiction or non-fiction books, or whether they're your favorite books that you already read or those that you still have to finish. Whatever way you decide to arrange your page, it's up to you. Now, the main reason we have a planner in the first place is so we can keep track of the daily stuff. The main meat of this journal is to the daily spread where we can list our to-dos and tick off boxes for items we completed. This is then my bullet journal idea number 5, the daily planner. I made several versions of this spread, but the basic framework is the same. Like on the top left corner here, you can see there's a space for the date, and beside it, there's an option to circle the day of the week, whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever. And on the left column is where we can write the day's agenda or the tasks to complete. I also set aside a section for inspirational quotes or Bible verses. It's nice to note down a line or two of uplifting statements that can boost your spirit. And there's also a portion on this page that's dedicated for urgent reminders, like stuff that can't be postponed. Like maybe there's a bill that needs to be paid that day, or a work deadline, or an item of extreme priority that, like, if you procrastinate, you'll end up in big trouble tomorrow. You know, stuff like that needs to have their special place in a journal. All right, now let's go to idea number 6. Now, this is my favorite part of the bullet journal, and I call it the prayers page. Now, as you can see, the design itself is pretty involved and requires a lot more doodling than normal. Like in terms of difficulty level, the layout of this page is for the intermediate artist. The banner design is inspired by Zentangling. Although I didn't copy any Zentangle patterns. I don't even know if what I did here is an actual Zentangle pattern, but I was just doodling intuitively. Anyway, if you want to copy this drawing, feel free to pause the video and copy the patterns in your own pages. Now, what's the reason I inserted the prayers page in this journal? I made this spread because I get so many requests from people, like requests for prayers for health issues or work-related problems or family concerns. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of who asked what, so I thought it might be a good idea to list down the names of those who asked for prayers and then include the details of those prayer requests. Personally, I feel a sense of awe each time I witness the miracle of an answered prayer. So, bullet journal idea number 7, I call it quotations or food for thought. Sometimes, to break the monotony in my journal pages, I insert typographic verses here and there. I know I'm kind of obsessed with inspirational quotes, and that's why I have that feature included already in my daily spread. But there are times when a quote hits the mark, you know, it hits you straight in the gut, and it becomes so special that the quote itself has to have its own page and fancy typography. I wrote here, "You wait, little girl, on an empty stage for fate to turn the light on. Your life, little girl, is an empty page that God will want to write on." So in the next page I wrote, "Do write on." Now, I forgot to mention all the doodles, calligraphy, and fonts you see in this video are all my personal ideas and original designs, like all the banners, borders, letters, numbers, whatnot. Everything that's here are all my original ideas. If you want to copy, I give you permission to do so, as long as they're for personal use, not commercial resale, not commercial redistribution in any medium, just for personal use, okay? All right, that said, let's talk about bullet journal idea number 8, appointments. I made a spread for appointments because sometimes there are appointments that are spaced throughout the year, like doctor's appointments or dental visits, ortho checkups, car maintenance schedules, or stuff that don't usually recur and are 3 to 6 months apart from each other. You can opt to put these appointments in your daily planner, but for me, I want to make have this all in an overview, so I made a separate page for it. Under the banner heading here, I left a huge space for the bullet point lists. Idea number 9. Now, this bullet journal layout may not apply to many people, but it can be very helpful for creatives or those who maintain blogs. I call it the idea page. It's a space to brainstorm. You know how creative people sometimes get those eureka moments, when the light bulb suddenly flashes in you. Sometimes your thoughts are so fleeting that unless you quickly write them down, they're lost forever. So I know I tend to scribble ideas for my YouTube channel or ideas for my novel in the first piece of paper I manage to grab. Sometimes I write on grocery receipts or sticky notes or even credit card statements I find on my desk. And that's a very messy habit, to be honest. So I made this spread a part of the bullet journal so all those creative thoughts are just archived and easily accessible. Of course, one page isn't enough for the tons of ideas that clutter our brains, so I made several versions of the idea page. I called one Author's Toolbox or Wordsmith's page, or some of my notes are specific to my writing needs, so this is where I plan to scribble story prompts or plot ideas or words, phrases, metaphors, or any other literary device that I'd like to use in my writing. If you're not a writer, you can alternatively use a bullet journal setup like this for blog topics, like what will your next blog post be about? Or maybe if you're a YouTube creator, you can list here your video ideas, or maybe ideas for your next social media post, Instagram post, or ideas for school projects. Anything that can help you declutter your brain, go ahead and scribble them down in this layout, either in a numbered list or in fancy banners with inside fancy banners in borders. Heading to the next bullet journal setup, idea number 10 is trip planning. We all know how stressful it is to keep track of trip details. So in this page, I dedicated sections for the when, where, how, and what of traveling. Like when is the trip? Where are you going? What touristy places do we plan to visit? And what do we pack? Like this bullet journal page has columns for packing lists and sections for travel details and important reminders. Okay. Idea number 11 is what I call wish list. Unlike dreams or goals which itemize wishes that are intangible, mostly abstract wants, wish lists are usually concrete things you hope to save up for and eventually buy. Like you can organize your wish list in many different ways. Like you can create a different page per category, like a page for fashion wish list or a page for electronics and technology items in one spread. But if you're like me with a very short wish list, one page is enough. So that's it, friends. 11 ideas for your bullet journal setup. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel and click the button for future notifications so you don't miss an upload. Leave me your thoughts and questions in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Again, this is Ginger from Art That Plays and Prays. God bless you, and see you next time.